What's up guys, Anthony here with Empire Music, back with more pentatonic licks. It's like every video, that's all I play. I really realize the weaknesses that I have and my habits and the boxes that I like to live in on a bass. But as I said in a previous video, or maybe a video you'll see after this, perks of the job, I get my hands on basses that a lot of people haven't touched yet. In this case, it's the Fender American Ultra series. So this is replacing the American Elite series right out of the box. And I think on the jazz bass, we did a quick little tweak. This is the P bass version of it. It also has a J pickup in it, so it's a PJ, but it's their P bass body shape and all the feel. Man, plays amazing right out of the box. As soon as you get them in your hands, they're weighted so well. It's the ultralight or the lightweight tuners, the ultra lightweight tuners on here. It feels, and it is a high-end bass. I don't want to make it sound like it's not, but it feels, it really feels, like I said about the jazz bass, kind of like you're playing a Corvette or a Ferrari of a bass. I'm a traditional P bass guy through and through. The older the better for me. And this feels really at home, but with some modern kind of touches to it. The weight of it's great, and tonally it brings a couple extra things to the table. And we'll talk about that in a second. So what's the difference between the American Ultra versus the American Elite? Why make a change? You always need to rebrand every few years, so that's, you know, not rocket science there from a marketing standpoint. But they've really added some nice things that kind of make these basses and the guitars, as Todd will show you in some of his videos, they're kind of like traditional instruments on steroids to some extent. And that's always, you're always going to have that when you talk about an instrument that has the capability of playing in passive mode. You can really add a lot of frequencies to and cut frequencies. But these instruments do a great job of not getting too far away from the traditional P bass or J bass tone, in this case obviously the precision bass. So differences. Neck shape, that's what you feel, that's the first thing you feel. The Elites were a modern C shape, this is a modern D shape. Yes, it's only the next letter in the alphabet, so how much difference can that make? But if you imagine what a C looks like, it's totally curved on the back, circular, half circle, so to speak, where a D kind of flattens out on that back side, so our thumb rests against as bass players, or for the most part when we play, very flat. So it kind of feels like you're a little bit, you're closer together as far as here. Very comfortable. Satin finish on the back of the neck, even though you see gloss on the headstock. It's a satin back, it glides right on there really nice. They changed the compound radius a little bit on these. So in the American Elites, it was 9.5 to 14. Now it's 10 to 14. We have another video out there on compound radiuses if you look it up, or radii. I don't know really what the pluralization of that is, but there's another video out there on it. What a compound radius is meaning it flattens out. This side, the fretting side, flattens out as we go up the neck. So we started at 10, we ended at 14. To put that in reference, most basses, modern basses, are 9.5 the whole way up. Old vintage style stuff would be 7.25, so very rounded. The benefit of that is when you're bending notes, they don't fret out quite as easy. Also, like if you're playing very fast or fleet lines, a flat radius just kind of feels better. Your hand kind of it feels a little bit more natural going down it. You may or may not perceive that. I know with some experience, I certainly do, but I don't really feel, I don't feel that all of our customers come in and can say, oh, that's 7.25, oh, that's 14, or whatever it is. But it's definitely there when you play it and you kind of know it. Or when you have some experience, you start to know it. New pickups. So these are Ultra Noiseless pickups in it versus the Generation 4 Noiseless that were in the Elites. This is just kind of sort of in relationship to how they upgraded the entire line. These pickups sound a little bit more traditional than what a Generation 4 Noiseless did, but with adding kind of a modern touch to it, and Noiseless, you know, dead quiet running, which is really nice. It's got a high mass bridge on it, but it looks different than the older high mass bridge. This is like the one that comes on the Geddy Lee basses, and these look just like a Leo Kwan Badass bridge, which are, you know, kind of industry standard for sustain and tunability, and just they feel really good to play. We get into the preamp. It's still an 18-volt preamp, but they did redesign it a little bit. And again, kind of along the lines of what they're trying to do with redeveloping this line or re-engineering it. Even when we're adding bass, treble, or mid-range to it, it never gets too far away from a traditional P-bass tone, where instruments in the past, whether they're Fender or other unnamed brands, even though it's going to look like a P-bass, we start putting in all these, we start adding all these frequencies to it, you get so far away from what a precision bass or a jazz bass sounds like. What I'm finding with this bass is that you're not getting, it never gets out of control, like, oh my God, that's like that sounds like an Ibanez bass now, or sounds like another brand's bass. Not that that's bad, it's just like when you're playing a Fender, you want to sound like a Fender for the most part. So this kind of adds another level of versatility without going too far away from tradition. As far as layout on it, you have a volume knob, you have a pan knob or a pickup selector, pickup blender. You have a stack knob here for treble and bass. Then you have stack knob here for mid-range and passive tone control. So I'm in active right now. This tone control is not doing anything. We're sculpting all of our tone from the frequency boost or cut knobs here. So right now playing, since this is a precision bass, we've added a J bass in here. I'm only playing on the P bass though, so we can kind of hear this at what, you know, the original kind of intent of a P bass is. So right now we're, like I said, in active mode. We have just P bass, everything right at the mid-range point. So the detent point on all these. When I was first playing, I had treble rolled back a little bit. I have it now at the halfway point. So take a listen. And I'll go back, roll that treble off just a touch, kind of where I feel everything sounds where it should. I'm going to add a little bit of bass into the mix. I'm going to add a little bit of mid-range into the mix. I'm going to keep treble back on about 20 to 25%. So now I'm going to put those all back to the mid-range point. And I'm not even going to show you like bass all the way up, treble all the way up. You probably don't want to do that because it's not, I don't think it's probably not going to sound that good. And you're going to like, you can destroy a speaker super easily with that. So I would kind of avoid that. So I'm going to show you kind of more practical applications as far as what we're going to do with this preamp. Obviously do whatever you want, but I think that's where you should keep in those parameters. So we're going to throw the jazz bass pickup in it now. What you're going to hear, since we're adding this in, pick up back further, you're going to add a little bit of clarity to that. You're going to add a little bit of mid-range push without even changing anything as far as preamp controls. I hear that right away. You hear clarity, a little bit extra cut that comes through that. So. nice versatility with having that jazz bass pickup is if we want to get into something with just a lot of mid-range hit, we turn that back. So now we're just J bass pickup, haven't changed anything on the preamp. Like harmonics just ring. Sounds cool. Now we're going to flip the passive mode. So that's kind of like the applicable tones I feel like in active. So now in passive, we're just going to run P bass pickup again. I'm going to roll that up. Tones all the way up right now. Let's see how that is. You're kind of getting this information with me for the first time. These were fresh out of the box, just tuned up, and I'm kind of going at it here. So we're discovering some of these tones together here, which is pretty cool. Ah. I'll take the J bass pickup in there just a touch. So midway point. In that instance, I want to roll a little bit of tone off personally. So we're going to go about 70. So I mean, that's about like most of the tones you're going to be able to pull out of it. Really impressive stuff. Like I said, traditional feel. You can definitely pull all the traditional tones out of it, but you can also add that modern type of touch if that's something that you want to kind of add into your arsenal. Always nice to have. And the fact that we can go active or passive in there are great. So Fender American Ultra, brand new. Check our website, empiremusiconline.com. There'll be links below in the descriptions on this. Like the video on YouTube, share it around on Facebook, like it on Instagram, do all that fun stuff. You can call myself or Todd or Joe in the shop personally, 412-343-5299. Scroll through, there's going to be a video on the jazz bass, LinkedIn somewhere, eventually Strat, Tele, Jazzmaster, all that stuff. We'll all have it here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Give us a call at the shop or check us out online. If anything you need, we're here. Thanks, guys.